Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Phil here, and I want to thank you for joining my How to Build a Website mini class. So, if you are someone who has been wanting to figure out how to put together a do-it-yourself website, then my goal is to help you with that, and we're going to give you some easy things that you can do on your own that are going to allow you to effectively start putting together your very own website that looks just as good as something you'd pay $1,000 for. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Today's game plan is very, very simple. Okay, first we're going to start off with talking about why you want to build your own website in the first place, and then we're also going to talk about the 5 tools, the only 5 that you need in order to start putting together your website. But first, I wanted to talk briefly about why it is I find it's important to be able to build your own website. Okay, so I'm a guy that's always been an entrepreneur, and I've always had ideas coming out of my head of things that I either wanted to sell, or back in the day, I did a lot of blogging. And so I realized that at some point when I had bigger projects coming out that I wanted to be able to monetize, that I needed to have a website. And up to this point, I was using like blog type sites that couldn't really be turned into full-on websites, and I wanted to do something more. And at the time, I didn't know how to build a website. And I didn't go to school for coding or any kind of HTML or CSS or other buzzwords that basically mean coding. So I thought the only way that I would be able to get a website made was to hire somebody to make it for me. And so I did this a couple of times, and I got burned each time. The first time I was working on this big project, and I had somebody who built it out for me, but they couldn't really explain to me how to use the back end of the website. And for those of you that aren't familiar with some of these terms I'm going to use, I'll explain them. Back end basically means when you create, like say, a WordPress website and you sign in, the page that comes after that is what we call the back end of the site, where you're able to figure out how to put up certain pages, pictures, etc. All that stuff is like your control, basically your control unit is the back end of your website. And so for when I hired people to build websites for me, they would never explain to me how to handle the back end of the website should I decide to use this website that they're building for me and they go away. Like say they build it and then they die, I still got to use a website, and they wouldn't show me how to use it. So that became very troublesome. Later down the line, when I thought of another project that I wanted to put out there, I tried to hire somebody who could, again, build me just a very, very simplistic, like 5-page website that wouldn't take much for me to figure out on the back end of things. And this guy from New York contacted me on Craigslist and said, hey, I can build your website for like $1,000. And I said, oh, okay, well, let me see what you got. So he sent me like a 1-page preview of what the website could possibly look like. And I was like, great, you're hired. And I sent him half of the money to get started. So I sent him $500, and I never heard from him again. And I felt stupid, to be honest with you, because I was like, I trusted this guy that was in a different state and that he didn't do anything for me. So, okay, I said, fine. So I'll just try to figure it out on my own. So I tried to go back to using like blogger type websites and trying to fajangle them in some way, but it just never came across professional enough for me to really have the desired effect that I wanted. And then one day I stumbled upon a particular WordPress theme, which we'll get into a little bit later. But once I figured out that this theme existed and I saw how easy it was to use, I went ahead and got it, and I tested it out, and I tried building certain different things on it. And this particular theme just made building websites so easy, to the point where I could build my own website and they looked absolutely amazing. And then other people would see these websites and say, oh my gosh, I would love for you to build a website for me. And I was able to use this same theme to be able to set up other people's websites, okay? But it's not just the theme. In the course of my online travels, I also picked up all the tools that I would need in order to actually make sure that the website was functioning at the best way that it possibly could. And I was able to duplicate that time and time again, to where I was getting hired out by people at various different companies to build their websites for them, okay? And so over time, I started having people ask me to show them how to make these websites, because some of them, they wanted to hire me. And once I started talking kind of about like how I was able to do it, they were like, oh, I'd love to be able to learn that so I could like do it on my own, in the event that, again, if something happens to me, they still got to be able to work their websites. So why not just learn how to do it yourself? But it just seems so complicated. I mean, you got to go to class and learn all these various codes and numbers and symbols and what do they mean and how do you line them up? And I've seen pages of code where it's just like tons and tons of what looks like Egyptian symbols that I can't comprehend. And so I'm sure you've probably felt that too, where you're like, how am I supposed to know what to put where to make a picture appear on screen, or how to make, a video like work in the background, or how to like have a, divider in certain places or whatever. It's like, it just seemed like it was just so daunting, and my brain just couldn't handle the overload that it would take to learn all those codes to be able to build even just one page website, let alone like a 5 or 6 page website. But now you can actually create a full-on fledged website and not know a single lick of HTML, of CSS, of any of that kind of stuff, and still have a great looking website. And it doesn't take a lot to do that, okay? And so what I'm going to teach you now are 5 very, very simple tools that you can get, and they're all online tools, and they're tools that you can use to start the process of building an effective website, okay? Now, if you're a person that's trying to have a business for yourself, you know how much websites can cost. There are companies that pay tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a website. But if you're a person that's a do-it-yourselfer and you're just trying to sell, like, say, a book, or you're trying to start a blog site, or you're trying to, sell like a course or some kind of like product or whatever, you don't need the thousands of dollars it costs these companies to have these websites, okay? So the tools I'm going to give you today, in contrast to those amounts that people pay, are actually very, very cost efficient, and they're going to be more than enough to be able to get you the website that you want, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and go over those briefly. So here are the 5 tools you need. The first tool that you're going to need in your website toolkit, we'll call it, is a hosting account, okay? Now, what is a hosting account? Well, think of the internet like an apartment complex, okay? And think of your hosting account as you renting out a space in that apartment complex, okay? So this is really where you're gonna be basically bunkering down the bulk of your website. And so you wanna get yourself a hosting account. The one that I personally use, and I've had a great amount of luck with, and not only that, their customer service is excellent, is Bluehost. And the sign up is very, very easy. And we're gonna actually go over how to like register all these tools and connect them together on tomorrow's video. But for now, the first tool you wanna get is a hosting account. I use Bluehost. You can use other ones, like they have GatorHost, GoDaddy, but for purposes of these videos, I'm going to be showing you how to connect your stuff with a Bluehost account. Luckily, most of these other hosting accounts, all these hosting accounts have what's called a cPanel. And a cPanel is simply a panel of options that you can click on to do different things to launch your website. Okay, and most cPanels on these various hosting platforms are pretty much the same. But again, I'll be using Bluehost for mine, so I would recommend getting Bluehost. They have a really, really great first year rate for people that sign up for them. The rate varies, but it changes up, and you can pay that either monthly, you can pay it yearly, you can pay it up to 3 years at a time. And it's very, very affordable, especially if you plan on having this website long term. You definitely want to go with a good hosting provider. So that's the first tool in your website toolkit. The second tool you're going to need is a website address name. And we call that the domain registration name, okay? This is where people are going to go to find you, So just like you went to this website and it had its own web address name, you're going to want to get one of those and register it. Now, you can register your website name through your hosting account. So for example, if you get Bluehost, you can actually register a domain name with them when you sign up. In fact, when you register with Bluehost in particular, they allow you to get your first domain name absolutely free for that first year. So you can think of a name that you want your business or blog to be, you can sign up using that name, and then that's going to be the name that allows you to sign into your Bluehost account, and that you can also use as your website name. Now, let's say you wanted to later on in the future, you come up with another idea for another website name. Rather than buying that name through Bluehost, you can now buy that name through a different entity, like say, for example, GoDaddy. And actually, I use GoDaddy more often than not, mostly because they have coupon codes out there that allow you to get their names at a very, very good discount. And then you can buy the name on, say, like the GoDaddy platform, and then you can pinpoint it to be used on your Bluehost account. But that's for later on. But for that first site that you're coming up with, you can register through Bluehost and then get your name through Bluehost as well. So the fastest way to be able to get your site up and running all on the same platform. But you really want to try to find a name. And I always tell people, you don't have to make it the most exciting thing in the world. Like, you want to have it so that people are going to memorize it and it's going to be memorable. But you definitely want to have something that's you can send to people that they will know to go to you specifically for whatever service it is you're trying to give them. Right? So you definitely want to register a domain name. That is the second tool you want to have in your website toolkit. The third tool you want to have is your WordPress.org account. If you're signing up with a hosting site, most hosting sites have an option on there where you can press a button and you'll be able to instantly install your WordPress account. Now, what's going to happen is this. When you connect your website address to your hosting account, what you're going to do is once you register that in your account, you're going to be able to use that address now on your WordPress.org account. You'll literally like press a button and it'll ask you, what website address do you want to connect to your WordPress.org account? You'll choose the domain name that you registered, and then it will automatically set up your domain name as your WordPress.org account. And so WordPress.org will not be there. It will literally be your web address that you bought .com. And that's where you'll set up your password and stuff like that. And again, we'll go into the details of that for tomorrow's video, but you're going to be able to set up your WordPress.org account through your hosting site, which is going to allow you to be able to build the kind of website that you want. So that's the third tool that you want to have in your website toolkit. The fourth tool you want to have is your business email address, okay? Your hosting accounts are going to allow you to have business email addresses. So you could have your email address be info@yourwebsite.com, which is really, really great because it's going to look more professional on your website to have a web email address that connects to your site versus having like, if say, for example, you had it like at a Hotmail or an Outlook or, one of those other sites, it doesn't look as professional. But being able to register an email address with your hosting site is going to be a great look. So that's the fourth tool that you want in your website toolkit, okay? Lastly, the fifth tool that you really want to have in your website toolkit is this theme, all right? See, let me preface it by saying this, okay? When you sign up for WordPress and you log in, they're going to give you the option to use a specific theme. And all a theme is a layout for your website that's going to allow you to control how your website looks, okay? Now, there are a lot of themes out there that are very stilted in terms of like you can only do specific things, whether it's like a blog one or an e-commerce one. And so the one that I am going to be teaching you guys how to use is called the DIVI theme. That's D-I-V-I. Now, why do you want to use the DIVI theme? DIVI theme is a drag and drop theme that's going to allow you to structure your website the way you want to with no coding ever. You're going to be dragging and dropping boxes into certain places. It's very, very easy to put in pictures and video and words and backgrounds that you want in different colors. And we're going to really go into this on the third day in terms of like everything that you need to do to be able to set up your DIVI theme properly. But this is the theme that's going to allow you to creatively build a website that requires no coding and makes it less of a hassle for you to have to do, okay? For the DIVI theme, they have two options. They have one where you can get it, where you pay yearly for the rights to use the theme, or you can do a one-time pay where you have unlimited access to the theme, which is going to be great when they have updates and stuff like that. I personally recommend getting the one-time pay, but if you're just starting out, you can do the year-to-year pay. It's a very, very affordable rate, but it's definitely something you're going to want to get if you're really trying to do the do-it-yourself website building, okay? So those are the 5 tools. Just to recap again, you want to get a hosting account. You want to register your domain name or your website address. You're going to need to use the WordPress.org account, but again, that's going to be set up through your hosting platform. So we'll get into that more tomorrow. Fourth, you want to make sure you're going to set up your business email address, which I will also show you how to do on tomorrow's video. And then fifth, you're going to want to get the Divi theme. We're going to show you how to build that into your WordPress site and also how to start building upon that on the day 3 video. Okay, so those are all the tools that you need to really get started. This is all that I use when I build my websites, and they work great. So this should work just as well for you. Okay, now on tomorrow's video, now that you have the tools that you need, we're going to talk about and show you how to actually connect all these things in terms of how to actually sign up for the Bluehost account, how to implement and set up the WordPress account, how to set up your business email, and what you need to do to sign up for Divi theme through the Elegant Themes website, and then how to upload that into your WordPress account. Okay. And then on day 3, we're going to really show you all the ins and outs of how the Divi theme can work for you to help build your website. All right. So definitely check in for tomorrow's video. If you're wanting to get the Bluehost and you're wanting to get your Divi theme from Elegant Themes, then if you look down below this video, you should see some links. Full disclosure, these are affiliate links. So if you do click through them and you decide to get those products, then I do get a fee for you getting that through my links. With that said though, I never recommend anything that I'm not personally using. So I recommend Bluehost and I recommend Elegant Themes and Divi because I was using them long before I heard about their affiliate program. Okay, so you can get those at the links below. Also, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can write to me at info@learndivifast.com.